Welcome to the Kerri Lane Show. I'm Kerri Lane. Today, Jasmine Crockett goes off the rails and compares President Trump to a suspected MS-13 gang member. Wait until you hear her rationale. And a man charged with vandalizing Teslas has a not-so-distant link to Governor Tim Walz. Plus, deportation flights for violent gang members get halted by the Supreme Court. We're going to show you exactly who was on board. Before we dive into all of that, I'd like to remind you to please hit that like button if you haven't already. That's how we get our message out to a wider audience, so your support is always greatly appreciated. Also, some of you have expressed frustration to me that not all of my videos are popping up in your feed. So to make sure you have all the latest updates, go ahead and hit that notification bell. Okay, well, while most of you were with family this weekend and celebrating Easter, hopefully you had a lovely weekend, there was a woman in Portland, Maine, who was rallying a crowd to actively obstruct ICE agents, which is a crime, by the way. Watch this.
If you see ICE disappearing people in the streets, will you get in the way? Yes! If you are charged with enforcing any part of the president's unlawful executive orders, will you resist? Yes! If your neighbor needs a place to hide, will you hide them? Yes!
So while that was happening, the usual suspects on the left were melting down on cable news, claiming that Trump was the one defying laws.
Do you think that the Trump administration is ignoring the courts? Do you think that the country is currently in a constitutional crisis?
Oh, yes, we are. They're very much flouting the courts as we speak.
That you believe that the federal courts, maybe a district court, I'm not sure, you can tell me if the Supreme Court could even do this, should hold key administration officials in contempt if they continue to defy the Supreme Court, which I'm guessing you see. Yes,
that's
yes,
the way our
should.
law works.
It is the way our law works. But wasn't respect for the courts optional when their guy was in charge? Because I remember AOC straight up saying that Biden should ignore the Supreme Court ruling.
There has been thought, I believe, given to this. Senator Ron Wyden has already issued statements, for example, advising what we should do in a situation like this, which I concur, which is that I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. What is the check on the Supreme Court? And that is up to the President of the United States and Congress.
She literally said the president should be the check on the Supreme Court. Well, I guess that check and balance only runs one way, because when Biden was in office, he went around the Supreme Court for student loan forgiveness, as well as illegal immigration loopholes. Now, speaking of double standards, Letitia James, the New York Attorney General who's made a career out of jailing people for fraud, now stands accused of doing the same thing. Here's Michael Henry, the Republican who ran against her in 2022, and I believe plans to give her a little competition in 2026. Watch this.
She ran for office on the promise she would find crimes. She took Ivanka Trump and marched her into a civil trial like she was a criminal. And now someone in Virginia is probably going to be subpoenaed about this property, and she's going to turn around and play like her and that person are the victim. You do this kind of stuff to other people, but then you don't like when it's done to you. She took out a sitting governor in her own party. This is bipartisan with her. When I was running against her, they released Nikki Haley's non-for-profit tax returns to the media, which is something that's against the law in the state of New York.
And just to really highlight the irony in this, let's pull up Letitia's own X post. A year ago, she wrote, quote, "When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people." So why would she buy a home in Virginia with her niece, claim it as her primary residence, when she was actually living in New York litigating her case against Trump?
What was the motivation to do this? Why lie?
Lower interest rates.
Lower interest rates. You discovered James has been claiming that her townhouse is a 4-unit dwelling when it actually has 5 units. Why would she do this?
To obtain lower mortgage rates.
1983, she takes out a $30,000 loan with her dad. She files it as a husband and wife. She's married to a father. Why?
So you get different underwriting as husband and wife than as you buy it as, partners or two family members.
I want you to let me know below in the comments what you think about this, how you think this is going to play out. I think this one is fascinating. It's one of my most favorite stories here in the past few weeks. We'll see. I think it'll be interesting to watch if she's ever formally charged and it goes to trial. Obviously, as of right now, she does not have any charges against her. Meantime, did you hear about the Minnesota state employee who has been arrested for vandalizing several Teslas. This is Dylan Bryan Adams, and he clearly supports his Governor Tim Walz, who we all have already seen by now, publicly mocked the electric car company just a few weeks ago. Well, Adams was caught on tape keying car after car after car. He caused over $20,000 in damage, and yet again, the tolerant left shows its true colors. If Donald Trump had been the one in Tim Walz's shoes, the left would be hysterical right now, saying that Trump incited this violence. Now, speaking of the president, his deportation flights of violent criminals is currently in a holding pattern after the Supreme Court stepped in and temporarily blocked them. So let's take a look at who is potentially being protected. First up, we have Henry Jose Romero Gonzalez, a citizen of Venezuela and confirmed TDA gang member. He has multiple pending criminal charges for assault, crimes against a person, and unlawful possession of a weapon. Second, we have Alessandro Benedict Paredes Warwa, who is also a citizen of Venezuela and confirmed TDA gang member. He is facing criminal charges for aggravated assault with a weapon, pointing and presenting firearms at a person. Third, another confirmed TDA gang member. He too is facing criminal charges for larceny and dangerous drugs. This TDA gang member was convicted of criminal flight to avoid prosecution, and he's also been charged with alien smuggling and resisting an officer. There are several more. I will not bore you with all of them. I think you get the picture at this point. Meantime, Kash Patel has been instrumental in helping round up these criminals. Since Trump took office, the FBI has arrested over 6,000 illegal migrants, 310 Tren de Aragua members, and 136 MS-13 gang members. Meantime, Jasmine Crockett, she was asked about Kilmar Obrega Garcia, the suspected MS-13 gang member who beats his wife and is suspected of human trafficking. And somehow she tries to make the case that Trump is a bigger criminal than the violent gang member. You can't make this stuff up.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a lot less criminal than the person that's sitting in the White House. Because last time I checked, he doesn't have any criminal convictions. I don't even think he has any outstanding cases versus the guy that still had cases pending when he was sworn in on January 20th and also has 34 felony convictions. So listen, I don't want to hear anything from the Republican Party about how they're trying to keep us safe when their fearless leader is actually the biggest criminal thus far that we have seen, because I haven't seen anybody with a rap sheet that looks like the president's.
Garcia doesn't have a criminal record because Biden's FBI told Tennessee Highway Patrol to release him after they pulled him over for speeding and found he A, had no license, B, had a car of 8 illegals, all of whom gave Garcia's home address as their place of residence. Human trafficking, anybody? And C, he was on a terrorist watch list. So yeah, if you don't choose to prosecute a criminal, then he's not going to have a record. As for Trump, we still don't even know what crime he committed because the judge never made the prosecution clearly state one. In fact, the judge gave the jury multiple choice when deliberating. None of them had to agree on what crime. They just had to agree he was guilty of one of the 3 options that was given to them by the judge. Now, for those that think he is guilty, a bookkeeping offense seems totally comparable to a wife-beating human trafficking gang member who entered our country illegally. Meanwhile, Senator Cory Booker, he has now planned a trip to El Salvador as well to champion for Obrega Garcia. Some on the right clearly have a problem with that.
He is a sitting senator in our state of New Jersey. Do you know what else is happening with New Jersey? Eden Alexander, a 20-year-old, I call him a kid because he's younger than my oldest son, but he is an innocent hostage still kept by Hamas in the tunnels, in the rubble. And Cory Booker, all he has done for him is wear a pin, and during his 25-hour rant, which was for nothing but showboating, he said, you know what, I'm thinking about him. Great that he's thinking about his own constituent, but he's going to fly to El Salvador for someone who's not a U.S. citizen. Shame on you, Cory Booker.
This is Eden Alexander, and this is who Cory Booker should be fighting for. We pray that this man is safely returned to his family. Now, the big question today is this the America we're okay with? Politicians fighting harder for criminals than our own citizens? Comment below, let me know what your thoughts are. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I also want you to check out this next video on your screen. CNN's Abby Phillips gets absolutely put in her place, not once, not twice, but several times after she pushes another Democrat-led hoax. It's a good one. Go ahead, click on it now, and have a great rest of your day.